Appreciate y'all chilling and politicking and paying attention because it's real vital. You heard me? Trench Talk TV. So that's what it's gonna sound like. It ain't gonna sound like nothing sugarcoat. It ain't gonna sound like what you want to hear. It's gonna be Trench Talk.
What up, man? We back at y'all again with another episode of Trench Talk TV, where we aim to educate, explore, and exhibit perspectives from the trenches all over. And today, we got a guest for y'all, man. In my opinion, is a Baton Rouge icon. I believe he's a legend in his own right. Rapper, actor, director, a man of many hats. Max Minelli, man. How you doing?
I'm cool, and my brother was happening with it.
Man, we chilling, man. For the people who don't know you and the ones who do know some things about you, today we just wanted to get a backstory about who you are, man, and where you come from. And I think you've been severely underrated in Baton Rouge. I don't think you get your flowers. Man, your fingerprints have been left on so much. And man, we just want to dive into that and, find out who you are.
Yeah, shit, let's do it.
Max Minelli, we're going to start with where you from.
Yeah, but shit, man, I'm from a lot of different places, bro. I was born in New Orleans. I lived in New Orleans till I was in 3rd grade, so I guess I would be about 8 years old, maybe. Somewhere around there, 8 or 9. And my pops had moved to California. He was like, just fucked up, you know what I'm saying? And he got to a point where I guess he knew he had to bust a move to change his life, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so how many siblings did you have?
I got one sister.
I got you.
Yeah. So my pops had bust out to Cali. So after he was out there for a little while, after he was out there for a little while, Christmas rolled around, and I went to visit him for Christmas, vacation and shit. And I just ain't want to leave, you know what I'm saying? So I ended up staying, and I stayed out there for 3 years. I was 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, yeah. So 3 years I ended up staying in Cali, like LA.
And at that time, was your mother and sister still in New Orleans?
Well, my mama was still in New Orleans. My sister was still in New Orleans. Eventually, my sister came, and then eventually my mama came too, to Cali. You know what I'm saying? My mama and daddy was divorced though. They got divorced when I was like, I don't know, maybe 5 years old or something. But even though they was divorced, they was still, tight, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like no, where, some people, it'd be a fucked up situation, like, your mom and your dad don't fuck with each other.
Right, you don't see a lot of that these days.
Right. So, I guess I was blessed, to have that type of situation, because they stayed cool. So, yeah, my pops went out there. Then I went, and my sister ended up coming, and then my mama ended up coming too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I stayed out there for like I say, 3 years. She was kind of like, my sister 4 years older than me, right?
All right.
Starting to kind of like running with like the bad crowd and shit. You know what I'm saying? I was still live, so. But I guess like my people seen the shit, like, cause it was gangs, and we lived in a Crip neighborhood, and you know what I'm saying?
Right, it's
like,
California, gang culture.
Right. And then that was like the late 80s, that was like 88, 89, like when that shit was, jumping.
Get down and lay down.
Right. So I guess my people just kind of seen like would eventually would be. And then, they wanted to take us out that environment, so they shipped our ass back to Louisiana. When we came back to Louisiana, we didn't go back to New Orleans. We ended up going to Irwinville, which is, across the river from Baton Rouge. You know what I'm saying? It's a country town. That's where my mama people from. That's where my grandmother lived, and some of my aunties and shit. So,
gotcha.
So we ended up in Irwinville, bro. country ass town. You know what I'm saying?
I heard you reference your grandmother over the years.
Yeah.
In a lot of your music.
Right.
Is that where that come from?
Yeah, like my grandmother was I lived with my grandmother. Like when we moved back to Louisiana from California, my mama was you know, trying to get back on her feet and shit, and you know, she ended up going back to New Orleans and working and shit like that. I stayed with my grandmother, so I lived with my grandmother for, you know, a lot of years, you know what I'm saying? So my grandmother was like my second mama, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's where, you know, that's where that come from, like her being such a big part of my life. Like she one of the people that raised me. Like I bounced around like with a few different people in my family. Like I kind of like, you know, moved around a lot, bro. Like I stayed with, you know, my uncle and my auntie. I stayed with my grandmother. I stayed, you know, like just a lot of different places, you know, over the years. Yeah. So yeah, that's to answer your question. That's what.
How was that moving around like that affecting you as a child mentally?
I ain't gonna lie, like coming from California and shit to, you know, the country town kind of like fuck with me because I had started rapping and shit, you know, and at that time, that's where, you know, it wasn't really no rappers from Louisiana, you know, it was like, so I kind of felt like, damn, I just came from where the rap game, you know, at where you gotta be if you wanna make it, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of, you know, fuck with me because I had that dream, like, man, I'm gonna do this rap shit, and then I just get shipped to, you know, Louisiana.
All right, I wanna stop you right there.
All right.
You started rapping at about 10 years old.
Right, I wrote my first rap when I was 10, yup.
That's why you in California?
Yup, I was in California, yup.
What inspired those rap dreams?
Man, I don't know, bro. I just like, so when I was living in California, that's when like Eazy-E and shit and NWA and shit first had started coming out, you know what I'm saying?
Birth of gangster rap.
Right. And you know, man, that shit was just like, you know, niggas ain't never had heard no shit like that. So that shit just like, I was infatuated with that. But even before that, like, even like, you know, like when LL and Rakim and shit, like I used to, when I lived in New Orleans still, I used to like stand on my front porch and rap like LL, I'm bad, you know, Rakim shit, like I was on the stage or something. So it's kind of like, I always just had that like,
you had a love for hip hop.
Yeah, like that little dream, like I saw myself on the stage or some shit, you know what I'm saying? And then, so when I ended up being in Cali, you know, that's when I got on the Eazy-E and NWA shit. And Ice Cube always was my favorite. And once Ice Cube left NWA and he dropped that first album, America's Most Wanted, that's what really like, once I heard that shit, like I was like, nah, fuck that. I went home, like I used to go to work with my mama like during the summer, you know what I'm saying? Cause she, you know, I didn't want to just stay at home and be fucking bored all day. So she would take me to work with her. And she worked in she worked for like this company, but they had like, she worked in a mail room and they had like, you know, like couriers, you know what I'm saying? Like they'd go bring shit to different places. Gotcha. So one of the dudes, he'll let me go ride with him to, like if he go on a run or whatever, and he had like all the new shit, you know what I'm saying? And so riding in the car with him, he was listening that Ice Cube shit, and that's what just like, you know, it fucked me up, bro. And I heard that song he had, Gangsta Fairy Tale, where he was rapping like, you know, about all the cartoon characters and shit. And you know, me being a kid, that shit just struck like a chord with me. So I remember that night I went home and I wrote me a rap kind of like that, like with cartoon characters and shit in it. And that's the first, you know, the first time I actually wrote rap. It's like I knew how to do it. Like ain't nobody had to tell me, oh, this how you, you know, this how you do that, or this a boss. Like I knew how long it should be. I knew where it should stop in the chorus. It
came natural to you.
It just, yeah, I just knew. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I was 10. Yup, I was 10 years old. Yup.
Being big with that hip hop bug at 10 in California, moving back to South Louisiana with your grandmother.
Right.
I want to ask, man, how was school for Young Max coming up?
It was cool. I kind of didn't like school where I was at. That shit was like, I don't know, it was just like dead to me. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, fuck, that's where I was, so I had to make the best out of it. You know what I'm saying? I always was like smarter than I put forth the effort. Like, if that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that may have been why you took so natural to music.
Right, like I could have made straight A's, but I just didn't give a fuck about making straight A's.
It wasn't something you liked.
Exactly, like homework and shit. I'm not doing homework, bro. Like, my philosophy always was, man, I come to school, do school work. Once I leave this bitch, I'm not fucking with that.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At all. So, you know, but yeah, it was cool and shit. And then once, you know, like, that's how I ended up, like, when I was in high school, I eventually moved to BR and stayed with my uncle and went to Woodlawn because I wanted to, like, you know, I just wanted to get to another environment that was a little more, you know what I'm saying? Had a little more shit going on. Yeah.
A little more fast paced.
Right. So yeah. But yeah, school cool though, bro. I just, you know.
What era was this? If you can remember, paint a picture of the temperament of the climate in Baton Rouge at the time.
When I was in high school?
Yeah.
I mean, it was man, it was like, you know, back then, bro, it was, you know, it was thugged out, but it was like, niggas had like morals and shit. Like, niggas rock, niggas live by a certain code and shit, you know what I'm saying? And like, the OGs was the OGs, like, you know, you know, like now, like, you see a lot of like older dudes, like robot young dudes into doing dumb shit, or, you know.
Either that or just turning a blind eye.
Right. And back then, you know, OGs was like, nah, bro, you know, like, niggas I came up around, you know, I was raised by the wolves, you know what I'm saying? But it was like, I'm here with the wolves, but these niggas know, like, but Max, you know, this ain't you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like they protect you from, you know, crashing out. You know what I'm saying? They keep you on the, like, nah, bro, you know, you make sure you gonna be our ticket out this bitch. You know what I'm saying?
It created a certain degree of respect.
Yeah, for sure. Cause you know one thing about me, bro, like, I'ma always be me, no matter who I'm around. I ain't finna get around these niggas and start acting like I'm like that, you know what I'm saying? Or go over here and start acting like I do this shit. Like, nah, I'm gonna be me regardless.
And that's one thing as a fan, I can't say I love about you, man. I'm 29 years old.
Right.
I've been listening to, I've been hearing your music for at least 20 years. You've been the same Max. You've never stepped outside your lane.
Right.
I actually have an odd question. Do you feel like that could potentially be a reason later on down the road that you probably, I guess, didn't get as much recognition from the industry as you should have, being that you didn't dumb it down?
I mean, I'm gonna tell you like this, bro. I have dumbed it down a lot. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like dumbing it down was what kind of kept me from being as great as I could have been. Like, if that make any sense. Cause like, it's like this, bro. Like, when you start doing music, when we was young doing that shit, we was doing it cause it was fun. We loved it. You know what I'm saying? But then once you start making money off the shit, and once this like become your job, yeah, it become your business. So it's like, you know, if I'm a nigga that paint cars and somebody pull up and say, man, I want you to paint my car shit green, I might not like shit green, but fuck, that's what he paying me to do, so I gotta, you know what I'm saying? So It's kind of like that. Like, you start looking at it like, man, well, you know, I gotta kind of make a song like this to kind of, you know, and then especially like the group I came up in, you know, the kind of music they was making, you know. So in order for me to still fit in and not like be oddball, but still be me. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a fine little line I had to walk to to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? But I have done my shit down a lot, bro, over the years, and looking back at it, I kind of feel like that's what I shouldn't have did. I should have just stuck to what the fuck I was doing, cause I see a lot of niggas win doing what I was doing way after that. You see what I'm saying?
I think you did a pretty good job sticking to your guns, though, as best you
Right.
as best you could.
Cause like I said, at the end of the day, bro, I'ma always be me. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't gonna never be like, be something I'm not or try to act like something I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'ma always be me, bro.